We will read from test lesson with Rabash. We'll read from Study Test Sefirot, volume 2, part 5, page 298, inner light of item 9, starting from every matter of Malchut of Rosh. And we'll read together from test item 9 from the words of the Ari. Now the Nukva is contained in the Dhua, male, since the Nukva is the light of Chokhmah, and the male is the light of Keter that remained in the vessel. Hence, it is the male that now receives from its root, the root of Keter. This is extended to it by refining that Keter that remained above at the end of the roots, and it is greatly refined by the upper illumination of the root of Keter that remained above at the end of the roots. And it is greatly refined by the upper illumination of the root of Keter. And a great light shines in that male of the Keter, and the female is incorporated in the male and receives illumination from it, until these three phases are even in their illumination. They are the male and female of the vessel of Keter, and that Keter that is on them. Once they are even, they will receive their light from the root of the upper Keter. Let's listen to Rabash.
Where we're learning the first column. This Keter, starting who to bestow. The Keter, which starts, what does he say here? From the whole matter of Malchut of Rosh is only for bestowal, and is okay because it is not worthy of receiving from the restriction onwards. What is he saying? What is he telling us here? He's telling us only bestowal stands that she cannot receive. Only reflected light we receive. What is he telling us? We learned that before the restriction, when Malchut received in order to receive, she received only in the Rosh. And so what now can she receive? She needs to make a calculation. How much is she allowed to receive? And then she receives. It turns out, when does she receive? Then, later. If so, Malchut of Rosh is only for bestowal standing. Let's say the group has Malchut has no who to bestow to. Whereas before the restriction, Malchut received in practice, not in potential, not in actuality. And she cannot bestow now upon phase, only on phase 3. Therefore, while she's still in phase 4, she receives phase 3 in order to bestow in practice. Accordingly, when the screen comes to zone of Keter, in it, if so, the Malchut receives and departs from there. In that case, they are being coarsening immediately as far as the coarseness of Rosh, meaning they're incorporated in the regime of the Rosh. And since the phase 4 did not leave a record of coarseness, they cannot be coarsened more than the measure of coarseness of phase 3. And then the Malchut of Rosh, with her great desire to bestow, left the courses of phase 4 that she had. Why? Since the lower one is not capable of receiving upon phase 4. And she received Malchut of Rosh to courses phase 3. This is called, by the words of the Ari, that Malchut rose to the place of Yesod in order to make a coupling of striking, a new coupling of striking upon the screen of phase 3. For then, she could acquire, the female would be able, of the Keter, would be able to receive this bestowal of hers. In this one coupling that the zone of Keter caused in their ascent to the Rosh. Hence, what is he explaining here? He's explaining about phase 3. Although, here there's also the record of phase 4 of clothing. However, it is in the manner of clothing, meaning that it is the male of Keter. So this record is from her own side and is not worthy of extending the light upon her by her, which means that it would perform a coupling of striking with the upper light that will raise reflected light, and the reflected light will extend this light as noted upon her. And because there's no coarseness, there's no force of a screen. The last phase is lost. But it is worthy of connecting with the female, which means the coarseness of extension, which is the lower phase. Hence, the Malchut of Rosh made here a coupling of striking upon the common coarseness with phase 4 of clothing and phase 3 of extension, by which she raised reflected light until the level of Keter of the Rosh. And she was assisted by who? By phase 3 with the coarseness of phase 4 of clothing. Hence, it was clarified well, the two couplings in the ascent of Zon of Keter that were caused in her, the Malchut of Rosh, due to their ascent and incorporation in her. The first is the coupling upon the common coarseness from phase 4 of clothing and phase 3 of extension. Whereas in this coupling, she extended the level of Keter of Rosh. The second is the coupling upon the coarseness of phase 3 alone, without phase 4 of clothing. And in this coupling, she extends only the level of Chokhmah of Rosh. It is clarified thus far, and you'll understand the words of the Ari here. In item 6, this was. And he says that Zon rise of Keter rise above to the place of the Keter at the end of the upper roots. Meaning that their reality in the Rosh was considered each branch under its root. The female under the male, and the male under the light of Keter. And he said, and he, the light of Keter in general, rises to the place of the root of Malchut. And then also the root of Malchut rises in the root of Yesod. There both remain in Yesod, which is Zon, meaning that in order to bestow upon Zon of Keter that have ascended, she leaves her phase 4, meaning the place of Malchut of Rosh, and receives to the coarseness of phase 3, which is the place of Yesod of Rosh. Although you will see that the Ari is precise here in saying that they both remain in Yesod, which is Zon, in order to show the change that's here. Because everywhere we learn that Malchut rises to Yesod, turns out that Yesod rises to the Sefirah that is above it. Why? Because Malchut received the coarseness of phase 3, and the coupling that emerges from phase 3 extends only the level of Chokhmah, and then the light of Chokhmah comes in the vessel of Keter, and the Binah in the vessel of Chokhmah, and Zeranpin in the Kli of Binah, and Malchut in the Kli of Zeranpin. And here, Zeranpin did not rise to the vessel of Binah, rather they both remained in Yesod, because I need the light of Yesod in the vessel of Yesod to extend the level of Keter. When is there the level of Keter? When the light of Yesod is in the vessel of Yesod. This is what he wants to imply to us here. We'll continue tomorrow the rest. And we need to start with the words, and the matter is. Page 289 and 99, first column in Hebrew, and the matter is, here we learned, what did we learn? That the light of Malchut ascends to the place of Yesod, and there both remain. And there both remain in Yesod, which is Zon. We learn everywhere that there is an ascent, then everyone ascends. If we say the records of the male, female of Zon, the clothing of the coarseness rose to the place of Keter, and Keter rose to the place of Malchut, and Malchut rose to the place of Yesod, and Yesod needs to ascend higher. And he says no. Both remain in its place. And the matter here is that both remained in Yesod. It is clarified well with what was mentioned. Because here, a common coupling from coarseness of the clothing of phase 4, of the level of Keter, with the courses of extension of phase 3 of the level of Malchut. Whereas Malchut of Rosh is from phase 4, incorporated from them, from both of them together, from the force of the male of phase 4 of clothing, and the female of Keter, which is phase 3, which ascended in her. And because of this, the cooperation of phase 4 of clothing made a coupling of striking in the coarseness of the extension of the level of Keter of Rosh. Hence, the light of Keter came in its vessel, the light of Keter in the Kli of Keter, and the Sefirot did not change their places. Nevertheless, Yesod remained in its Kli, together with Malchut, which rose to it, which is now in phase 3. In a manner that now there is there is now in the vessel of Yesod 2 lights together, which are both a connection of male and female, meaning a light, the light itself is of the male, the light of Malchut, which is female. This is where he calls it Zon.
It's written that Malchut of Rosh bestows upon the Guf. Malchut of Rosh needs to bestow to the Creator, not to the Guf.
What is spoken of here? First, I need to know what is Rosh and what is Guf. Rosh is called that it receives it in potential. The Guf is called that it receives it in actuality. And we learned that before the restriction, the vessel of reception is called receiving in order to receive. Hence, Malchut received. There was no Rosh there, and not Toch there, and not Sof. There was no Rosh and no Guf. Rather, just in potential, in practice, it just received in order to receive. Now, when the restriction took place, where we're not allowed to receive in order to receive, Malchut is not allowed to receive, only to the extent in which Malchut will make a calculation that she can receive in order to bestow. But what she cannot receive in order to bestow, she does not receive. It turns out that she has, when we speak of Malchut, what she receives in practice, meaning in the Rosh and the Guf, she receives nothing. This is called that to bestow. The bestowal stands upon this intention. She receives in practice to the extent of the calculation she did in potential. Why? It's prohibited of receiving in order to receive, only in order to bestow. Hence, when we say that now Malchut is receiving in order to bestow, means that the intention is that she needs to receive an expansion in the Guf prior to, meaning if there was no expansion in the Guf, how does it expand in the Guf? To the extent in which she has reflected light. Hence, Malchut emerges, and not being able to do a Masach, and cannot receive in order to bestow to the Creator. So she does not receive. That's written here.
So, it is written. What is written? They both remain in the place of Yesod. And then, after Malchut rose to Yesod and Yesod remained in its place, this shows us that the coupling is on level 4 of clothing, on the level of Keter, that the light of Keter remained in the vessel of Keter. Therefore, he says, the light of Yesod also remained in its place. Then the root of the upper Keter bestows below. Why? After there is already a preparation for the lower ones to receive, this means, as mentioned above, he explains that the level that emerges by that common coupling is the level of the Keter of Osh. Hence, the root of the upper Keter, what is the root of Keter? Meaning Keter of the Rosh is called root, bestows below. To whom? To the light of Keter of the Guf, that is incorporated now in the vessel of Malchut, that was there. And from the light of the Keter in the Guf that is found in the place of Malchut, the light reaches his record, called the male of the vessel of Keter. And from the male of the vessel of Keter, this is the record of clothing, the light reaches the nukva of the vessel of Keter, as the three of them are incorporated together, as mentioned above. It is written, at that time, the nukva of Keter is incorporated in the male. It means, what is incorporated? There is the essence and there is incorporation. The essence, who is it? The male. The level of Keter 4 of clothing. It is written, the nukva of Keter is incorporated in the male. It means that the unique coupling for her was not done in Malchut of the Rosh, meaning the second coupling on phase 3. And the above second coupling on the courses of phase 3 alone. Rather, she is incorporated with a record of clothing of the male. And here a level comes now on 4 of clothing. That Keter therefore 3 is incorporated in 4. It is written here in item 9, this is extended to it by refining that Keter that remained above at the end of the roots. What is this? What connection do these words have? Above. And there isn't the second line from above. On page 297 above, it's written thus. Hence, the male now receives from its root, from Keter, which is the root of Keter. This is extended to it by refining that Keter that remained above at the end of the roots. 1. And it is greatly refined by the upper illumination of the root of Keter. When a great light shines in that male of the Keter. We need to know what is the connection of this. What is this refinement? For what do we need this? It already rose upward. Let's see what he explains. It is written here in item 9, this is extended to it by refining that Keter that remained above, which is the Keter of the Guf that stands at the end of the roots. And there's a very important concept here. The coupling that was made here now on 4 of clothing and 3 of coarseness is incorporated in it. Is the upper coupling of the Rosh, which is done by the screen in Malchut of the Rosh. Thus, how will the light of Keter be incorporated in this coupling, which is a light that has already clothed the coarseness of the Guf? When I speak of Keter, I'm already speaking of which Keter that was already clothed in the Guf. But has something from the Guf, which is very far from the phase of the Rosh. This is what the Ari tells us. This is extended to it by refining the Keter. It means that when the screen of the Guf rose and was refined from any coarseness in the Guf, until it rose to the Rosh. Who is it? The screen of Tabu that was below and received the light. Now, until the refinement that stopped and operated with coarseness. As a result, the entire face of the Guf that was incorporated in the light of Keter was completely sucked out. It became as refined as the face of Rosh itself. Hence, it was incorporated in Malchut in a coupling of the Rosh, received the light of Keter of the Rosh, and bestowed upon Zon the vessel of Keter. He asks a difficult question. If I say that the light of Keter to the Guf, it implies that I'm speaking of the light of Keter that was in the Guf. I already have a new name there. That's something from the phase of Guf. How can it rise to Malchut of the Rosh, he asks. The answer is, this is extended to it by refining that Keter. How is it refined? What is the meaning of refining in the light? But we speak of the light of Keter that was in the Guf. So therefore, he explains thus: if you say the screen of the light of Keter that was in the Guf, it implies that the Guf was upon it. There is something. So how can it rise upward in the Rosh? And with this, he answers with a second difficult question. The second difficulty is that how can the screen of Tabor, which is called receiving in actuality, rise to Malchut of the Rosh, which is there only the root of reception, which is there only a screen in potential? The answer: after the surrounding light refined it, nullified the screen, meaning that it no longer operates with coarseness. So its coarseness was refined. Coarseness of the Guf from whom? From the Guf itself. The screen of Tabur. All the more so the light that was clothed in this Guf that is already completely refined. Naturally, the screen can rise. Certainly, the light of Keter can also rise to Malchut of the Rosh. And this is the end of the line. It became as refined as the phase of Rosh itself. As it was incorporated in Malchut in the coupling of the Rosh, received the light of Keter of the Rosh, who? The light of Keter of the Guf, and bestowed upon Zon of the vessel of Keter above, and they received. Is that clear? Then the female is incorporated in the male, as it is written in the adjacent passage, since her phase 3 was incorporated and participated with phase 4 of clothing of the male. After that, she departed from this participation, since Malchut of the Rosh made a special coupling on phase 3 of the female afterwards, as he explains below. What is written above? First line of 199. Until these three phases are even in their illumination, they are the male and female of the vessel of Keter. And that Keter that is on them, that was in the Guf, once they are even, they will receive their light from the root of the upper Keter. What is written here below? These three phases are even in their illumination. After they are equal, they will receive their light from the root of the upper Keter. The three of them were incorporated in this coupling of Malchut of the Rosh, in the common screen from the coarseness of clothing of phase 4, with the coarseness of extension of phase 3. The reflected light that rose from here clothed up to the level of the upper Keter, namely Keter of Rosh, as mentioned above. In addition, the matter of the incorporation of these three lights has already been explained above, since each branch is incorporated in its proximate root, meaning the nukva of Keter 3 in the male 4, and the male of Keter in the light of Keter of the Guf, which is light, and the light of Keter in Malchut of the Rosh, Malchut of the Rosh in Yesod. He doesn't explain anything, he only gives the order.